What's up, everybody? Giancarlo Bodoni here, and today I'm with my good friend Brian Glick. He's been on the channel before. You guys probably already know him, but if you don't, he's a John Danaher black belt, one of John's oldest black belts, and he's a phenomenal instructor and a phenomenal practitioner. And today I have him here at the Sheepdog Response, and he's going to teach a couple of techniques to the class today. So a big treat for everybody who's in the class, obviously. But we're going to show you guys the techniques that he teaches, and yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Thank you so much. You know, it's like a little, it takes some trust for someone to turn the class over to someone else, because, you know, you guys are very important to him, so that means a lot to me, so thank you. One of the very first moves you learn in Jiu-Jitsu is the scissor sweep, okay? It's usually like the first sweep that's taught to new people, especially in the gi. It's a really great sweep. It's foundational for a good reason, but what you find is that after a certain point, it kind of shuts down, it stops working. So what I'd like to do with you today is, first of all, let's just look at basics of scissor sweep, okay? And then right off of that, I'm gonna give you a variation to kind of make it a little bit more effective. And then let's talk about how we can use this, what's essentially a scissor sweep position, okay? And how we can convert it into higher percentage attacks. Not necessarily something that your partner already knows knows to anticipate, but something else, okay? So we'll start with the obvious, and then we'll move from there, okay? So first of all, whenever we're working from closed guard, it's always a good idea for you to get some measure of connection to your partner's upper body. When your legs are locked around your partner's waist, this is great control of your partner's legs and hips, but the main problem for you when you're playing closed guard is your partner's posture. So if your partner can posture up, even if you've got your legs locked around your partner's waist and you're prepared to control their hips, it's not going to be enough. Your partner will start to create this distance, and now, even if you get a good connection at this point, it's very difficult to start to get your partner out of balance, bring their head forward, break their posture. So our initial connection is very important. That's why, generally speaking, your partner will start by keeping their hands here on your body. Just control your partner's wrist down by the cuff, okay? You can take your 4 fingers and get a grip on your partner's cuff. And then the second hand can reach here to your partner's collar. If you ever feel like you're having difficulty getting control of your partner's collar, you're gonna use the 2-on-1 method, where you start with 2 hands, okay? You're gonna use your knees to bring your partner forward, and that's gonna let you work your right hand up into a position that's more solid in controlling your partner's posture. Your left hand's gonna slide down, it's gonna control your partner's wrist down here by the cuff, okay? Now, once we're here, how you get to the scissor guard, right, or the scissor sweep position is very important. If you just unlock your legs and turn your body out, you get the configuration, but a resisting person is always going to stand up, create space, and make it very difficult. So for that reason, whenever we transition from a closed guard into a scissor guard sort of position, we're going to use a very specific method. When we unlock our legs, we're going to still keep weight on our partner by extending our legs and bringing our hips up off of the floor. That makes sure that there's a little bit of connection and pressure still on my partner, instead of having hips down low where the legs are unweighted. So you're going to begin by unlocking. You're going to keep your hips up, and then you're going to simply swivel your toes, and that's going to help to turn your hip. Okay, now that you've got your hip turned, you still have this good connection. You can slide your right leg forward across to your partner's hip, and now from here you can drop the left leg down to the mat. When you go to do the scissor sweep, it's very important that you off-balance your partner forward. So another reason this sweep is very important is because it teaches you that to sweep anybody, you first have to create what we call kazushi, or off-balancing. So we're going to start by pulling and bringing our partner slightly forward. And you'll notice that when we do this, his hips leave his heels. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. Once we get to this position, we're going to cut our left leg back, right leg is going to push, and then from here we're going to guide our partner over. It's very important that you pull with your left arm to knock your partner through. When you're here, immediately deepen your grip with your right hand, and then you're going to thrust your hips forward. When you rise, don't rise like this, where your hips are disconnected from your partner, okay? Instead, when you rise, you're going to rise by sucking your hips here to your partner so that you can land in a solid mount. Immediately off this grip, you're going to walk your hand around in stages, put your head on the floor, and then from here you can gather up your partner's lapel on the other side, head forward, and you can go directly into the strangle, okay? So that was the long version. Here's a shorter version. So part 1, 2-on-1 grip. Get a solid grip with your hand up by your partner's collarbone. Take your second hand down here, unlock, hips come up. Swivel and connect. Heel and shin. Now from here, we'll give a little pull, bring our partner forward, left leg drops, right leg pushes, and we cut. As we do, we pull with the left hand to draw his arm out. Once you're here, deepen your grip, heel, back heels, good connection, hips rise, and then from here you're mounted. Okay, if you feel confident, walk your hand around, put your head on the floor, gather up your partner's lapel on the far side, or just the fabric of the gi, bring your head forward, and you have the strangle. Okay, we'll spend a couple minutes doing this, and then we'll come through and look at some variations. All right, 1, 2. All right, we got it. Okay, let's try. Okay, just basic stuff to start. Okay, won't spend long, just a couple minutes. That's it. Very nice. And then you crawl forward exactly. Keep your hips low, chest low. You can even shoot your 2 feet straight behind his hips. You can cross your feet or cross your big toes. Push your hips down into him and extend your legs back a little bit. Good. So now from here, there's much less space for him to start to bring his arms in and frame. Okay, this is a solid mount. Good. That hand across, now it's going to be much more difficult. Okay, well, that's it. And then from here, good, just gather the fabric. You can put your fingers in the lapel, or you can just gather this piece of fabric here. Good, good. Now bring your head directly over his head. Pull your elbows like you're doing a pull-up. Okay, that's it. The two things that we really want to emphasize when you're doing any sort of sweep, but especially when you're transitioning from closed guard to some form of open guard, which is essentially what the scissor sweep is that you're controlling posture somehow and that you're keeping connection. What you never want to do is go from a place where you've got great connection to a place where you've got no connection. Okay, that's when your partner starts to stand up, move around, things get a little bit more scrambly. Okay, so when we're here, just as a note, if you ever feel like it's difficult to break your partner's posture here, you can always bring your hands to the inside by going wrist to wrist. Okay, so if he's got strong arms here and I'm trying to bring him forward, his arms are stiff, a lot of times you can get around that just by taking your wrists inside, bring your knees forward, and bring your partner here. Okay, they're not going to stay here, that's fine. Just get a grip. Now when he goes to bring his head back, it's a little more difficult. Okay, we unlock, we create this space, and now we start the action of scissoring. One issue is your partner can take their knees and widen them, okay? And so like if he really widens his knees, sometimes it's very difficult to get the scissoring action to work. Remember, when his knees are tight together, close together, his base is pretty narrow. That's when you find it very easy to scissor sweep people over. But when they start getting smart, all they do is they widen their base. Now his knees go from being about here to being much wider, okay? Now, whenever we feel this happening, you're gonna take your left leg and you're gonna place your foot right here on top of your partner's knee. So in judo, this is called hizaguruma, and we do variations of hizaguruma when we're working gi and no gi. The idea is that you're gonna extend your partner's leg. So it's not a kick, it's a push. And we want to take that leg and we want to make it straight. When you straighten it out, you move that base out of the way. Now what's left for you to do is pull your left arm back so that your partner's right side is straight. Now you can scissor sweep. You're going to push with your right leg, pull with your arms, knock your partner down. Once again, when you come up to the mount, I can't overemphasize this because a lot of times we get so excited that we want to get to the mount and we get to a mount that looks like this. And you could drive a Mack truck through this space. He's going to start to frame and you're going to feel like your mount is no good. So when you mount here, after he goes down, we're going to emphasize thrusting the hips forward, closing off this space and touching our feet together, either crossing them or just going sole to sole, all right? When you go to strangle, let me show you something real quick. Walk your hand around the corner. Just put your elbow down by your partner's head. Okay, I'm not elbowing him in the head, but you can use your elbow to simply move your partner's head offline. Then this thumb is going to fold in and you can put it inside your partner's jacket. Now from here you can flip, head comes forward, and the strangle is on. Okay, so a few details in here. Most important is hizaguruma. Wrist to wrist, 1, 2. From here we come back to our partner's sleeve. Extend everything, unlock. Wide base, scissor sweep's not working. Foot posts, push, widen the base, take the arm up. Now you can sweep. When you sweep, hips first as you rise. Hand walks around the corner, put your elbow down next to your partner's temple, and just move the head offline. That's going to open up a little space for you to fit your thumb into this pocket. Now you can get the grip that you wanted. Flip, make sure that your forearms are crossed under your partner's chin, okay? None of this stuff where you're across their eyeballs, okay? Head forward. What I'll say to you is, Giancarlo was just saying, that in a recent competition, no gi, he used just a standard scissor sweep, knocked the guy down, came up on top. Came up on top. So don't be fooled. You know, a lot of these very basic fundamental techniques, they show up over and over again in different guises. Sometimes they show up as they are. Other times they show up as variations. But you know, in Jiu-Jitsu, the things that you learn, the fundamentals that you learn are fundamentals for a reason. It's because they often contain principles and concepts that run throughout other techniques, more advanced, but also because they can work at lots of different levels, right? Okay, so we worked on this idea of standard scissor sweep, mechanics, pulling your partner forward, he's Garuma. At higher levels in the gi, what you'll often find is that people don't use the scissor sweep, but they use the scissor sweep position, okay? So off of the same cross collar grip and sleeve grip here, sorry, you have to rotate this wheel a bit. Yeah, here, it's better, okay. This position here, where our legs are open, but we're still connected to our partner, you'll often hear, we'll call this like a scissor guard. Okay, so in other words, the legs are scissoring, they're forming a connection, and this scissor guard is a transition between closed guard and an open guard. Okay, open guard is a generic term, you know, you can, butterfly guard is an open guard, anytime where your legs are not connected. The problem is that going from a closed guard to an open guard leaves a lot of room for your partner to stand up, posture, control your legs, and begin to pass. So we can use the same action of a scissor sweep to go into a scissor guard, and we're going to use that to transition to some other attacks. So we unlock, hips up, we bring this leg into position. So when your partner goes to drive forward into you, they can't because you have this shin in front. When they go to posture up, they can't because you have your collar grip. When they go to back away, you're connected through your left leg, okay, this heel. So you have control over your partner's movement up and down, forwards and backwards, side to side. Okay, so it's pretty good. When we get to this position, instead of going for the scissor sweep, we're simply going to flare our right knee. Okay, we're going to bring this right knee up and we're going to connect it here to our partner's shoulder. Right foot is on the hip, right knee is here. So we're going to bind our partner between the push of our right knee and the pull of our right hand. Once we get into position, we can take advantage of this sleeve grip. Your left leg is going to slip directly behind your partner's elbow, and then you're going to bring your knee to your chest. When you do this, you're going to be able to fold your partner's elbow towards you. Right? And first attack from here will be omoplata. When you bring your partner's elbow forward here, make sure that your knee is coming tight to your chest. And then from here, you're going to simply pass your left leg up over the top. Once we get here, there are a few different ways of going onto the attack. You're going to put your toes on the floor for now, and we're going to swing around so that we're in this kind of sidecar position. You're directly next to your partner. Getting up is a key thing here. If you just try to sit up using your hands, you'll often find that your partner will bring their head up, and they'll square back up to you, and you'll kind of end up back where you started. So we're going to have you use a pendulum method. You're going to take your right leg, bring it up to the sky, and then you're going to drive your heel to the floor. That's going to help to bring you up. At the same time, you're going to straighten your left leg. The key here is making sure that as you're getting up, you're putting pressure with your left leg on your partner's shoulder. When he goes to posture up now, I'm going to keep my head over my knee. You're going to switch your arms. The right hand is going to go here to your partner's elbow. The left arm is going to switch, and it's going to move across to your partner's far side. If you can grip the lapel, do it. Okay, can't always do it, but if you can, it's great. Now from here, watch. We're going to move our hips slightly backwards and out, and then we're just going to put our two legs together like this. Try to make sure that you're covering your partner's elbow with your top leg. That's going to help to push it down. When you're ready to finish, take your right hand, grab your partner's collar, 4 fingers in, and now it's almost like you're just going to come up towards your knees here. Okay? The idea is that your partner's arm is in the same configuration as a kimura. Okay, the only difference is you're using your legs. Okay? All right, that was, again, that's the long version. Here we'll do the shorter version. Cross collar, sleeve, unlock, flare the right knee. Left leg goes here behind your partner's tricep. Bring your hips up. Bring your knee forward to fold your partner's arm. Pass your left leg up over the head. Now from here, we're going to square our body up so that we're parallel to our partner. Right leg is going to kick. That's going to help you to sit up. Take this leg and straighten it. That's going to keep your partner's head down. Cover the elbow. 2 legs back. Start to come forward. Anchor yourself to your partner. This is always the best. And then your 2 knees come to the floor. Partner's going to tap, and it's all over. Okay, let's try it. 1, 2, 3.
Next interesting here that Brian's showing is he's doing an amazing job at demonstrating something that's super important in jiu-jitsu, specifically for bottom position, which is there's an interplay between positional exchanges, where you're looking to sweep your partner, and submission threats. And these can go in both directions. You can use submission threats to get the positional exchanges. You can use positional off balances to create submission threats. And in addition, you're attacking your training partner in multiple directions. So you go to scissor sweep your partner left. Pretty soon you hit this a couple times. Your training partner expects it. They get more and more. You go against more and more skilled people. They start extending everything with the creative off balance. But the extension that you created as a result of the threat of the off balance is what gives you the opportunity to start going into attacks. And you're going to see this over and over again in a bunch of different positions. So he's doing a great job at demonstrating to you guys from the scissor sweep. I know for some people, majority of you guys I know are just starting off, but for some of you guys that are maybe a little more experienced, it seems basic. But as he talked about, the fundamental stuff, oftentimes they get asked, is this a fundamental technique or is it advanced technique? And the reality is there's no difference. The same techniques you're learning at white belt, you're going to use all the way to black belt. The only thing that's changing is you get more advanced reactions. So there's more variety in terms of the reactions. You get more physical reactions and you get more technical reactions. And so this is a great demonstration of that. So just try to keep that in mind. Understand that there's no one single move that just works. It's the connection of moves and your ability to change directions and create a threat of an off balance that creates limb extension, and limb extension that goes into a submission threat, and you continue to play those on and on with each other. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, that's perfect.
I always tell people that. I'm like, there really isn't any oh, this is an advanced technique. You just get like if you look at the game or our games, we do all the same stuff that we've been learning forever. It just becomes more refined and technical over time.
I think this is something really difficult for people to get because people want new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And we were talking about being consistent and having a routine, the same thing in the training. I think it's really, really difficult for most people to have the discipline to stick with a couple of things and just refine them until that's what you're hitting, and I think it's critical and also incredibly difficult. I think it becomes even more difficult without an instructor.
When after ADCC, when I filmed my first instructional, after ADCC, I had some before. I did chest to back series, and it was in front of the elbows and behind the elbows, and they're both 8-hour long instructionals because there's so much stuff from front headlock and stuff like that. And I was also heavily influenced by John's instructionals being super
12 hours
long, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was I definitely taught every possible thing. There's no way there's more stuff. And then 6 months later, I'm running into new problems.
Yeah.
And it's and they're the same techniques. We just run into new problems.
It really is amazing.
Yeah.
But now from here, just you're going to come up to your knees. Good. And so if he tries to roll from here, go ahead, try to roll forward here. He's a little stuck. So if your right hand stays on the collar here. So when you get in and your right hand stays on the collar, you can stay anchored to him. So even if he does hit a roll here, if he can, you can still stay with him. And now because you have your body anchored to him, you can just pendulum up again and put him back down. Yeah. Whereas if you're not connected with your upper body to him, he'll hit a roll and he'll leave you behind. Yeah. I think this made a big difference for me with omoplata was getting used to anchoring either if you can get palm to palm on the far side. It's
like a seatbelt.
And then there are positions where you have control and connection, but there's still some mobility for your partner. You get more interesting reactions when you have some connection and control than when you have none. Sometimes it's just when you have when your partner is totally shut out, it's kind of you put them in a room with no windows and no doors. They're just not going anywhere. Okay, but then there are other times, especially with a technique like omoplata, one of the downsides of it is that if you look at it, you can see that even though we've got really good connection and control, we're controlling mostly one side of his body. Okay, and we're mostly on the right side. The reason that it's so important to anchor yourself here is because it gives you control over both shoulders. Okay, you can't always do that, right? And even this is sometimes not sufficient to prevent your partner from posturing. Okay. So a lot of times what will happen is you'll get to this position, you'll be really trying to keep your partner's head down so that you can come up, and your partner's really insistent on kind of posturing up here, and they carry you back into a position like this. So when we feel this position and our back is on the floor, we're going to have you plant your foot. So you're going to unlock your guard, you can plant your foot, you're going to move your hips back, and you're going to kind of pull your partner backwards onto you like this. Once you're here, you're going to reach up with your right hand. If you have the collar, still great. If you don't, put your hand on your partner's shoulder, punch your left arm through, and just lock your hands here. Now from here, you're going to hip out and away from your partner. When he goes to move from here, it's almost impossible. And now, just keep scooting away, and your partner, in many ways, this lock is even tighter than the original omoplata. If you can see, he's kind of in this very unathletic position. He's sitting on his butt. His body is folded like 45 degrees, and you're controlling both shoulder and this side of the body, okay? So this is, again, like Giancarlo was saying, like it's as an example of like you get all sorts of reactions, you just have to be ready to transition. So from the closed guard, we're doing same idea. Scissor, come out, we flare the knee, we bring our hips forward, we pass our leg up over the top. Now from here, we're going to pendulum up. We're getting everything that we want, but our partner is extra strong and they start to posture up. When you feel this happening, put your foot on the floor, you're going to move your hips away, and you're going to pull until your partner's hip hits the mat. Now from here, you can lock up a triangle. If you have your hand here already, great. If not, simply grab your partner's shoulder, punch your hand through, and now from here, palm to palm. The submission is not the same idea of extending your legs out in this direction. It's hipping away, okay? So you're going to create a little tension here, so you don't simply relax your legs, keep your left leg strong, plant your right foot on the mat, and then you're going to hip out and away here, okay? Once we get to this position, you can keep your arms locked here, and your partner will tap just from this. If he tries to sit forward, very difficult. If he tries to roll, very difficult. If he tries to come backwards, very difficult. You're kind of just extending here. Submission is on. Okay, let's do one more time. So, scissor sweep, not working, flare the knee. Bring your partner forward, omoplata. We go to pendulum, sit up. He postures up here. You're just going to pull and keep moving your partner out until they hit the floor. Now lock your hands. You can either figure four or have open legs, extend hip back, and the finish is on. Okay? Let's try this variation of omoplata. 1, 2, 3. Scissor sweep position. We've been looking at omoplata. All right? Omoplata is not the only technique, of course, that you can go to, but it often threads in very nicely with scissor sweep. But same idea here. We're going to move here into this position. In the situation that we were looking at before, we had a partner whose posture was like kind of relatively close to us. Okay, his head was down, and we were able to maintain connection between our shin and our knee and our partner's far shoulder. Okay, sometimes what you'll find is that your partner starts to posture up. Okay, when that happens and this distance starts to open up, this is no good for us, because now into this space he can put his hand, he can start to either put his forearm here, he can start to grip the pants. So whenever we're here and we feel like our partner's posturing up, we're going to focus on keeping our hips high, so that the goal is to get your hips up to the line of your partner's armpit. You're going to use a pull with your arms, okay, pulling down, and your hips are going to rise here. As soon as I feel him posturing, we're going to take this right foot and we're just going to step it here in front of our partner's shoulder. You had your knee or your shin in front of the shoulder, okay, and then you're just going to replace it, you're going to put your foot here. We're going to do the triangle, but don't be in too much of a rush to just shoot your feet through here. Okay, this gap is a problem and your partner will defend. So instead, again, as soon as we feel him posturing or kind of taking that shoulder back, we're going to step here on the shoulder, form this connection. Now, with the hips up high, we can create a lot of tension by pulling with our arms and keeping our hips up. Once you get to here, then you can shoot your leg up over the top. Your target is the back of your knee or your hamstring along your partner's neck. Okay, and this is really important. Don't be lazy with your leg and just let it sit anywhere. You want to really form a solid connection here. And you can see my leg goes straight, and then we draw the heel down. So Brennan feels like even though there's only one leg that's controlling his posture, there's like a lot of pressure or a lot of weight down because I'm pulling the heel back. Once we do this, you're just going to cross your feet, okay? No triangle yet. Then you're going to use your knees. Pull your knees to your chest, take a scoop grip. Then we're going to hit a windshield wiper action where our left knee goes over in front of our partner's shoulder. One thing I like to do from here is put my hand on his shoulder and then watch this pivot where we extend our legs a lot like the scissor sweep that you did before. Now the knee is in front of the hand, which is in front of the shoulder, and you can start to lock. Reach up, do a kind of a crunch. Instead of having your head on the floor like this, bring your body up. Then take your hand to your heel, pull it down. And now from here, you can lock up the strangle, okay? So we start in our closed guard. We've got our grips. We want to scissor sweep our partner. Instead, we're going to open the knee from here, 2 feet on the hips. Brendan goes to posture up. Foot just connects here. Then the hips rise. Leg shoots through nice and long. And then we bring everything back down to us, crossing our feet. Take a scoop grip with your arm. Now from here, cover your partner's shoulder. You're going to windshield wiper. So what does that mean? That means we take our feet and we turn them both in the same direction here. Now we can start to lock up the beginning of the figure 4. You can adjust. And as before, as with omoplata, you want to get a good connection on your partner's far side. You can finish the strangle. Okay. One quick note on every triangle that you do, right? Most triangles begin life as this trap triangle, okay, where your feet start here like this. Never grab your own foot, okay? Many of you know this, but don't grab your own foot, okay? If your partner postures up quickly here, you'll break your own foot. The worst submission in the world is the one that you do to yourself, okay? Yeah. Lock up, grab your heel, grab your shin. Okay, these are both fine. Don't grab your own toes, all right? And then once you get here, we'll create a little bit of an angle and finish. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3. So the key here is to turn the soles of your feet towards that Fuji logo on the wall. Yeah, now you can start to lock everything up. Good. Do like kind of a crunch and grab your heel, pull it in. Good. You can even ratchet your right foot. So kind of go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down until it's there.
And I kind of, this already from training, because, you usually a couple rounds a day, you pick guys that, you could do whatever you want. But he was talking about the importance of hard training versus execution time. He's like, you want a certain amount of time where your training is going to be difficult and it's going to challenge you to tactically and also physically. And then you want a certain amount of training where you have more execution time, where you can actually practice executing moves as many times as possible. Right. Pass the guard, let the guy recover, pass the guard again, pass the guard again, pass the guard again, submit, 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 that kind of stuff. All right, guys, so Brian just taught an awesome lesson today at the school that I teach at, Sheepdog Response, Gracie Humaita Cedar Park. Just tell us a little bit about what we went over.
Well, we talked about wanting to cover, we had a class that had some people who are relatively new to Jiu-Jitsu, and then some people who have a little bit of experience, but we wanted to start with something that was pretty fundamental. And so the idea is that, whenever you see something that's fundamental, like a fundamental technique that's been around for a long time, there's usually a reason that it's been around for a long time. And sometimes it's because it's a technique that works really well at all different levels. And the technique we did tonight was scissor sweep, and you yourself hit that no-gi not that long ago. So it's like that's a technique that doesn't ever go out of style. But then another reason that fundamental techniques are fundamental is because at their core, they represent a principle that's kind of universal in Jiu-Jitsu. And so we wanted to touch on ideas like chaining similar attacks, working off of extension and kazushi and getting people out of balance. We wanted to give people different options based on different reactions. So that was the idea. We wanted to just kind of like create a class where we had something that was really basic at the heart of it that people could review, and then from there branch off to different attacks that people use at a little bit of a higher level. So I think we had a good time. People seemed to be getting it, seemed to be enjoying it.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and one thing that we talked about was a lot of times, I get people that are maybe a little bit more advanced or a little bit more experienced, that they're always asking for a more advanced technique or something fancy or something, that would be considered advanced. And if you look at my game, your game, one of the things that I kind of pride myself on is having a game that is going to be long lasting, right? Like you said, it doesn't go out of style. And it all comes down to those core fundamental techniques. And in reality, there's not much difference in terms of the actual techniques and the positions themselves as far as fundamental to advanced, kind of like the stuff that you showed. You just get more and more advanced and specific reactions. And so the nuance, the fanciness, right, the advancedness comes from your ability to respond to those reactions, play different reactions. Yeah. Kind of bait your training partner in and do those kinds of things. So, like I said, he went over kind of like what would be considered a fundamental or like a core jiu-jitsu technique that you find yourselves in those positions all the time at the highest level. It's just kind of up to you to be able to recognize those reactions and then in time, feed off of that.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people look at a scissor sweep, for example, as like, oh, you just grab the guy, you side scissor out, and then you sweep the guy. It's never going to work at a high level. And the reality is that it does. It's just based on your ability to recognize failure and look at failure, I think, differently. Look at failure not as, oh, I just can't do this move. Look at it as, okay, I attempted this move, it didn't work, but what other opportunity presented itself? I think that's where the advancedness comes out of.
Right.
And so I thought that was just something that I recognized as you were teaching. I thought it was a great lesson for everybody in the class.
Yeah, and I think that context is so important. It's easy to understand a single technique in isolation, but putting it in context is often what's advanced.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see people, like you're saying, like people are doing a lot of, they're working off of very fundamental principles, but they're just happening in a context where you're getting all sorts of reactions and responses, and nothing is easy, and that's where things kind of start to bloom a little bit, and you get you get fun reactions, and you get to be able to chain things together, which is, I think, the heart of good jiu-jitsu, good jiu-jitsu
Yeah,
training.
I agree. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
I appreciate it.
This was awesome.
So we're going to link Brian's YouTube channel and all his other instructionals and content in the description below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. And we filmed we filmed a video for his channel, so make sure to check out his channel, check out the technique that I taught for his channel, and see you guys soon.